Couple notes about this etude. First of all, you want to make sure that you're using thumb B flat for this etude. If you don't know how to use thumb B flat or you have some questions about using it, please see my video listed below about thumb B flat usage. The most important goal for this etude is to really feel it in one, to get this pulse eventually in one so that we feel so we get that really steady 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, in order to do this, you must have impeccable rhythm. Okay, if the pulse wavers at all in the subdivisions, you're not going to give the audience a feeling that you have this strong sense of rhythm. Okay, so in order to practice this, we're actually going to use a metronome. Okay, some people will have this marked. I think it's marked at dotted quarter equals 54 to 60. Okay, that's one way to practice it if you're ready to play it in one. But before you do that, you want to bump up the tempo to actually we can say 180 if you want to play it at 60, or we'll take it at 162. So 162 is for the eighth note, right? So that eighth note should be 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, and there's your eighth note pulse, right? As opposed to your 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, okay? So we're taking it down to the eighth note pulse, and here's what it sounds like. Oops. Okay, so here I have my metronome set on 3 beats per bar, and so that it's going to click a special click on that 1. This is going to help you identify where you are in the 1, 2, or 3 meter, right? So I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so that you get this really good pulse of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, once you feel good with that, leave it on the eighth note pulse, but feel the 1. So I think 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And actually, if you're a foot tapper, tap your foot, move your body in 1 so that you start to feel it in 1, but hear the subdivisions that are in your metronome. 1, 2, 3, 1. So that you get that idea of 1. Communicating this pulse of 1 beat per bar is what's going to make this piece musical. It's supposed to feel like a dance, right? It has to have some sort of lightness to it, and you want to make sure that you communicate that in your playing. A couple other important things to remember for this etude. You want to really punch out those accented notes. The accented notes that occur on the second line, and then before you go back, before the coda, actually. You want to make sure that those really stick out, and you can do them with a punch of the air. You don't need to use your tongue to do those. Okay, some people like on that low E flat to really slam the fingers down. If you can avoid that and still make the accent happen, that's better, but if you need that little extra push, that's okay too. The other thing is the dynamics. Okay, we have some really stark contrast between these dynamics. Fortes that are followed immediately by subito pianos. Okay, so if we look at the dynamics in measures 17 through 20, here you've got these forte and then a piano. The thing that a lot of students want to do is go wild on the forte and then don't play piano enough. And so you get some contrast, but you also get a bad sound. So you don't want, that's a bad sound on that forte, right? So instead, we're going to play the forte, a strong sound, but not overdo it, and then really come back on the piano, still with a good sound on the piano, though. So that you really have that contrast there. Following this in bar 20, I like to keep these short staccato notes in that piano dynamic. We have the piano that's written there, it doesn't change. It's not written to change, so I always make sure that I hold over that piano dynamic all the way throughout. So the contrast is. So you get the idea of how that works without being too wild on the forte. Maintain a great sound, always. It's always the most important thing. Good luck with your practicing, and I wish you the best of luck on your audition.